Hi, I'm Cherie Richardson, sales coach for established female online business owners. And I'm talking to you today about sales objections. This is like one of the things I worried about the most when I went into sales. I had no problem with the presentation, but when it got to the objection part, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I say? But I want to use an example of when I sold Viagra. And Viagra, as is considered a novelty now, but it was also, even more so considered a novelty back when I sold it. At that time, we didn't really have competition and people didn't really take it seriously. So the objection that I got a lot was either the doctor wanted me to come and give him like coupons and little gifts to give out to his patient, we give out to his friends rather, if they were turning 40 or something like that, use it as a gag gift. Or doctors at the Bible Belt, because that's where I was, were saying that I'm not going to use it because my patient's sex life is not my problem. My problem is to keep them alive. My issue is to keep them alive, and that's it. Whether or not they have sex is their business. And that was a big thing for me because one, I had to make sure they took the drug seriously. And two, I had to really show them how this is a very important part of the patient's life. And I began to really talk to the doctor about just other things outside of the medications. So I said, what is your number one pain right now? What is your number one issue? I didn't say pain back then, but what is your number one issue? And he said compliance. I tell the patients to take the drug and they're non-compliant. They don't take it. And I said, okay, so obviously, would you say what percentage of your patients are at their goal? Because I sold blood pressure, cholesterol, Viagra. And he said about 30% of my patients are at their goal, which was obviously not optimal. And I said, okay, now you told me you're not going to write Viagra because you think that is something that's not your business, or you think it's something that's not really important. However, most of the patients that are coming in who are not at goal, 70%, probably have erectile dysfunction. And I'm going to bet that if they had a choice, that if they were to lose maybe 10 points of their blood pressure or their cholesterol, that maybe you give them a little something. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, maybe you give Viagra as an incentive, to then, tell them, well, look, if you take your medication seriously, you're compliant, and you lower your blood pressure or your cholesterol, whichever one is the most concerning, I will give you samples for Viagra. I'll give you a prescription for it. And I said, also say it to them in front of their wives, because Friday calls are mostly the wives calling for their special pill. So I would say do it there, because that way you have an advocate at home. Because one thing to tell a patient they're going to die. That does nothing. But if you tell them they're not going to have sex, that would do it. And so especially when you tell them that in front of their wives. And so that really helped them. So what I did was I solved the underlying objection. Underlying objection had nothing to do with what he originally said about the sex life and not caring about that. The real problem he had was compliance. So I took my Viagra presentation and poured it into their main problem, okay? And that's how I was able to really sell Viagra and get them to take it more seriously, because he saw it more as a tool to help them get to goal with their blood pressure and cholesterol. So what does this have to do with sales? With coaching. It has a lot to do with coaching, because obviously as a business owner, you must sell. But the issue is that when you get objections, it's rarely the real reason for why the person is hesitant to buy. Like, for instance, money. They may say, I have no money, but we all know that money is typically not the reason why somebody's going to buy. There is an underlying reason, and it takes probing, just like I did with the Viagra, to get to that underlying reason. And sometimes for money, it's either they don't have enough information, or they don't really feel that they're worthy of getting to this place that you just visualize for them. They don't see themselves as the successful person, and they're wondering, okay, is she full of crap? You know what I mean? So the issue is to probe and ask, well, do you really feel that you're worthy of being successful? Do you have a fear of success? Do you really see yourself in this position? Do you believe that transformation is possible? Because you'll find that the more you probe down, you will see that the real reason will come up. And that's why I use the example of Viagra, because what they told me on the surface had nothing to do with the real problem. Because it's immediately when I tied it into a problem that they're having, they were able to really see it differently and began to write it. And that's how I became #1 in the region, partly. So for you to get past that objection phase, to first of all, not approach it as something negative. Number one, it is a very, very good thing that someone's telling you that, because it gives you an opportunity to learn more about how you can help them. Okay, what their real issues are. Because if they're having that, somebody else is probably having the same thing. And then you'll be more prepared the next time to say, okay, well, I understand that. And sometimes people say that to me. It's because maybe sometimes they don't really think that they can do this. And is that something that you're feeling right now? And they'll tell you. Or maybe, is there any questions I can answer for you? Is there something I can address? Do you want to talk with a former client of mine? You know, you can kind of go that way because you've heard it and now you're prepared for it. So the more you do it, the better you are ready to respond. And so it took a little bit more time with this one than my normal videos, but I just wanted to stress about that objections are not really a bad thing. They're actually a good thing. And I always say objections is when the selling really starts anyway, because then you're able to really get to the heart of the real issue and address it head on. And so if you have any other questions about objections, let me know, post those in the comments. And I really hope this helped you. And I hope I was able to paint that picture about how getting to the heart of it is really the way to really show the patient, well, not the patient, Lord, I knew I was going to say this, to really show your potential client that you can help them, that you are engaged, and that you really do have the answers to help them and get to their main need, not the surface need. All right. Thank you so much.